Previously on.
Previously.
Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on. Previously on.
Previously on.
Previously on the recap sequence.
Hey folks, welcome to the recap sequence. We have a great interview lined up for today. In case you don't know, there's another event coming on. The East Coast has been a
plethora.
Yeah, you want to enjoy comics and local art, and in this next case, getting your hands on some back issues. We have it. The East Coast has it all year round. It seems. Coming up next week on April 20th in Dartmouth is Back Issues Comicon, and we have one of the organizers of that event, and also someone that we know from our travels over the years as the recap sequence. Tony White is joining us today. How are you, Tony?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for being here. And
tell us a little bit about this event here.
Yeah, so I hadn't heard of it until you had mentioned it a few weeks ago that it was going on. Is this a brand new event?
It's brand new. It's the inaugural one. It was meant to be just a one-off, and it may still be, but we, we have 3 people come through the door. We probably won't do one in the fall.
Sure.
Yeah. So a buddy of mine has been asking to do a convention, or not necessarily a convention, but like a comic book buy and sell, like a comic book flea market for a number of years. And we finally he came to me and said, like, this venue is perfect. Let's do this venue. The venue didn't work out, but we found another one that was a little bit better. And so we decided to move forward on the planning of it. This was only maybe January. So, I mean, we're only 4 months removed from the decision to actually investigate doing this. So we decided that we were going to go move ahead with it. We rented a location in Dartmouth it's actually scalable. We're using 1 floor for this event, but there are 2 other floors, well, 1.5 other floors we can expand to if it does do very, very well. But the initial idea of this was a comic book buy and sell. We're going to have comic book vendors. The vendors need to have, approximately half their table needs to be comic books. The other half can be whatever they want. Comic book related, of course, but comic book related items, toys, toys or decoration or whatever it is, but something comic book related. So we decided that we were going to try and do that. We sort of fished the idea out and immediately had a number of tables booked. Just like, if you're doing it, we're doing it. This is we're going. So we said, okay, well, it looks like we can actually fill the place. Let's see how we do. And so we reached out to a few people, and then simply by word of mouth, the table sold out in 2 days.
Wow.
So how many tables will you have there?
Just over 30.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a huge event.
That's still a lot of tables. Yeah. And so are these, like, I assume there's some vendors, but so when you say Back Issues Comicon, are these folks like bringing in their collections as well? Or is this, are like folks that generally sell back issues? How does this?
We have a really, really great spread of people because we have 2 physical stores that will be there. Plus, Decaf will be there to promote Decaf and
nice.
Strange Adventures.
Yeah.
ECCE will be there as well, and we have Rainbow's End from Wolfville, huge store with everything. It's the kitchen sink of comic book stores. It has records and books, and anyways, and for us, they're bringing just basically all comics and comic cards and stuff like that. We also have Heroes Galore. Jeff Norman had a store in the valley as well, down by Greenwood, a large store that he sold, but he still had a huge collection of comics in his basement. He's coming as well. Another guy who may not be well known, but when he goes to shows, he's kind of a draw for comic nerds. Jim McKenzie, he has a huge collection, and when I say huge, I am understating it.
Okay.
And he's quite literally, he's been buying comic books and collections for, I'm going to say, 20 to 30 years.
Wow.
I was at his house just last weekend to see if he had a couple of things that I needed. Never been there before. He has a garage that is floor to ceiling comic boxes. And I mean, not the sides, like floor to ceiling, multiple racks.
Wow.
Like a warehouse.
So you spent the whole weekend there then?
Right. Yeah.
I unfortunately had planned to spend 2 or 3 hours there. But
Yeah.
I happen to have kids,
Right.
and one of my kids was out at an event and was messaging me that she no longer wished to be there, and could I come and get her?
Yeah.
Yeah. So after some discussion and some negotiation, I had to leave in about 15 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. It
Kids.
wasn't a very long time.
Yeah, I get that call. By the way, I have teenage girls. I get that call fairly frequently, and it's generally when I'm somewhere I want to be. So I feel that pain in my heart.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Pocket full of cash, and
Right.
I think I did buy comics. I
Yeah.
posted. I always post what I buy. I posted. I think I got about 30 what ifs between the
Oh,
two
wow.
volumes,
Fun.
and then I also collect the Marvel 25th anniversary issues, the
Yeah.
border covers. And now I'm down to just needing 3 of them.
Wow.
He had Peter Porker, the Amazing Spider-Man one, which is hard to find.
Right.
So I walked away with some stuff, but really
So
I didn't get a lot of chance. A lot
are
of
you are you hoping with your event then on the 20th to be able to complete that collection with the 3 missing ones?
It would be great. I'm going to go
Yeah.
around and look. Like I was saying, there's a variety of different people, but there's individuals coming out for the very first time who are selling comics from their basements. Like they've had them in storage. They've never gone to a show, never sold anything. They've just been collecting, and they've decided to just come out and sell some of their comics. Like they just want to be part of the event. And there's
Right.
probably, I'm going to say, 6 vendors like that, just off the top of my head, that have untouched collections.
Wow.
So as a collector yourself, I like when you collect comics, like how hard is it? Like would it be to make a decision on? I think I can part with some of these now. Like I know some people collect to flip and to to have collections to make available to other people. But like you're obviously a completionist. You want to get what everything in there. Like would you ever sell something like that when you get it collected? Is that the intent, or do you collect to own and to be able to go through and just kind of have them nostalgically? Just seems like you get all this stuff and it's like, okay, well, I could part with. It's an
What do you
interesting
do with it?
process. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You keep collecting, and nobody has infinite space. So
Right.
I many years ago, probably, like, I mean, even when I was a kid, I would buy and sell comics all the time, keep the ones I wanted, sell them, get more money to buy more comic
Yeah.
books. And I did that throughout the years. 2000, I think I joined eBay and started selling comics as I was buying them. I went to the Sussex flea market for, I'm going to say, 10 to 15 years of the last 30, and and sold there, and I did very, very well. But yeah, I am a collector, but I also collect specific things. So, for a long time I was just a bit of everything, but now I've sort of limited myself to completing, my DC Digest run, my What If Volume 1 and 2 runs, my Marvel graphic novel series run, like those things, the Marvel 25th anniversary border covers. Now, if I ever do complete them, what will I do? I have no idea.
Right. Yeah. Are you
I have
like
no
me?
idea.
Like I kind of double up on what I buy. So I have here's my reading copy, or I'm gonna get the trade, and I'm not gonna touch my bagged issues. Or do you go into your collection and are you content to take them out and read them, or do you want to save them for grading? How does that work?
So I don't do a lot of, like, I don't really do grading. I'm not a huge slab fan. Not that I disparage anybody who has them. I've
Yeah.
owned several, but I always turn around and sell them again because I'm looking at them. And in order for me to display them, which I really enjoy doing, I display a lot of comics on my walls. My wife Jamie is incredibly patient with me. Um, so I mean, you probably can't see it
Well, I like the fact
here.
that behind you you've got Mjolnir, the Green Lantern, and there's Captain
I see
Canuck.
Captain Canuck there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a gift from a local convention. She had that made and gave it to me when
Oh,
I was
wow.
Nice.
traveling around, when I was still working on Captain Canuck and traveling around for the conventions. But
Yeah.
those displays right up there, I've got, I don't know, 2 dozen of those and several of the single frames with comics in them. But you can see that
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got Superman 76 and
Wow.
Is that
Hulk
Hulk
180 up
Wolverine?
there. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
180. It's not 181. Who can afford that?
This
Um,
is such a
We
cool
we settled,
concept,
right?
though, for an event like
Yeah.
this. I mean, were you surprised then that you were able to sell like the 30 tables, like these everyone? Because really, you go to these events and you do see people trying to, sell some of their comics, that they may have had in storage. This is a really cool concept that you've come up with.
yeah, we just wanted to make sure that we had something that would draw in comic nerds. We are comic nerds. We
Yeah.
collect comics. We love reading comics. We love being involved with comics and going to comic conventions. So this was more for, you know, you guys have like there's ECCE in Moncton, and I'd love to talk about that in a little
Yeah.
bit as
You
well.
bet. Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as pure comic book shows go, like we have Decaf, which is a comic and comic arts
Hmm.
festival, and it's a great show. I think you guys have been down for
Oh
it.
yeah, I've been to Decaf a couple
I
times.
haven't been to a decaf, and I feel terrible. I love Cal. I stop in to see Cal every time we're in Halifax, but I have yet to make it to Dartmouth. The timings just never lined up with me, and it's a child thing that I they tend to have competing events in August. But I if I can make it down this time around, I'd love to go down.
I was just
Yeah.
happy that they've got their back because
Yeah,
I was following the whole situation about them losing their spot at Alderney Landing and then getting it back this year. So I was very happy to see that it's going to continue on. I'm sure it
Yes.
would have, but I mean they go hand in hand, right?
We
Decaf and Alderney Landing. So
Nobody was happy to hear that there was something going on with Albany Landing that they wouldn't have the show. They normally have some sort of farmers market there or something, and they've had, decaf there since 2012, I believe. And
yeah,
this year there was something about not having it there or wanting to continue with the market. But either way, it got worked out. And I'd say that everybody in the community down here is extremely happy that it did,
yeah,
because it is just such a great show. And, Cal puts his heart into it.
yes,
And,
hmm
yeah,
I hope we can do half as much as they do with the show that we're putting on. I'm putting as much as I can into it. I am fairly divided and busy with a few different things, but
sure.
I'm putting everything I can into it to try and make it a success. Having
So
it sell out.
if anybody's watching this or listening to this, in the next couple of days here, are there tickets? How do people find out where you guys are? Where's the info?
Okay, so the info's on Facebook, and it's at Back Issues Comicon. We have an event signed up. Like, we have an event there that they can sign up and say they're interested or they're going. The link to that is also on Twitter, in our profile on Twitter that or X, that we're using there. And then it's also on Instagram in our profile. It takes you right to the event.
Right on.
So if they follow us at Back Issues Con at Twitter X or Instagram, it's the only one I could get. Back
It'll
Issues
show up
Con.
down here too. I always commit this when
We'll run it on
we
the
start the
ticker.
recording. It'll show up. So now I've created a technical challenge for the YouTube, but we always try and get those links in there. And as far as if it's a success, is this something that you could, like, sort of as a scalable thing, bring to a con, almost like kind of like a mini, like as a table, Back Issues Comic Con, and kind of in a smaller way, just be selling back issues sort of on behalf of the show with some collaborative vendors, or is it
Well,
something that you would just do as a separate event every year and just kind
Hmm.
of promote it outside of it?
I would say that I'm not so certain about the collaborative nature of going to a show and having like a Back Issues comic table.
Sure.
I hadn't thought of that, which is, thank you. I will think
Heard it
about it
here. You
now.
heard it. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but no, no, no. I had never thought about that actually, but we had thought about continuing this convention, potentially into the fall, potentially late in September, potentially the third Saturday of September,
Gotcha.
potentially in the same location, potentially with an additional floor. We
Nice.
have thought about that. Might surprise you, but it's come
Sure.
up.
Just a little
So,
bit, right?
more, so twice a year kind of thing then, doing it
I, I
more than,
I
yeah.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a small thing, and once you get these conventions down to sort of a formula that you can work with,
Hmm.
I think it should become easier. People will know of it. You can have a list of people who are waiting for tables. That way, you're not constantly looking. But I guess with this one, it's sort of mutated a little bit. X-Men 97 reference. It's mutated just a little bit because we initially, again, wanted a comic book buy and sell show. That was it. Simply
Yep.
comic book buy and sell show. But yeah, I think Chris was talking to Ed, and Ed said, "Well, can I come? Can I have a table? I've got some comps I'd like to get rid of, and I'd like to hang out at your show." So Ed Brisson, for anybody who's watching.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yes, absolutely, yes, you can
Chris.
come for sure,
Yeah.
100%. And I think it might have been Ed or Chris. My memory's not complete on this, but one of them said I should ask Jed McKay, for those of you at home who's writing the new X-Men series
Yeah.
that comes out in July. And Jed said, I'd like to come hang out at the show too. Can I
Nice.
have a table? I've got a couple of short boxes of comps I'd like to sell as well. Suddenly we have guests.
Right.
It was never
Amazing.
it was never designed to have guests.
Right.
Never ever. It was not something that came up. I mean, Chris had brought it up a couple of times, and I'll own it. I poo-pooed the idea a little bit, just because I was like, well, we're charging $3 for,
Yeah.
like, we're charging flea market prices with a flea market time frame, 9 to 3, comic buy and sell. So it was too late to change any of that to like be, well, we have guests now, let's lengthen the show a little bit, or you know I really don't want to raise the price on it, right?
Yeah.
That was part of the concern, is I wanted it to be low cost.
Let's
But
face
yeah,
it. I mean, you guys threw this together in literally 4 months, it
mm,
sounds like, and to be able to pull this off, that's very impressive and exciting at the same time.
No,
no, thank you.
and guests too. I had there's a logistical layer to guests. You've got some local folks, which is great, and they have an interest in offloading some back issues and so
Yeah.
that's good and it works out. But yeah, you're right. Like I on top of that, then you're becoming a little bit more like another con that has to all of a sudden, you've got to come up with a whole other layer of consideration where you've got these folks that are, I assuming, like, is it mostly local folks? Like you mentioned, Wolfville is, like, is that sort of as far of the reach of folks that are coming and selling there, or?
I mean, there's guys coming from Moncton.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's people coming up from Yarmouth,
Wow.
Greenwood, which Yarmouth is a good three hours and 20 minutes away from us.
Right.
Greenwood's a good 2 hours, I think, an hour and a half to 2 hours. I'm trying to think. Bridgewater. Uh, oh yeah, New Glasgow. But yeah, so primarily the other person that I reached out to, because I didn't, I felt, well, I should at least talk to him if Jed and Ed are coming, because we had talked to Andrew Clark. I think you guys know Andrew
Oh
Clark.
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Andrew Clark is also at the show. He has a table. He's a really good friend of ours. He was the first person that we just said, hey, why don't you just come and set up? So when Ed and Jen came in, I'm like, I'm just gonna, I spent a fair bit of time with Sandy Carruthers,
Yeah.
original artist on
Mhm.
Men in Black. I was at SummerCon back in February. Was it February that we were at that?
I'm sorry.
With
SummerCon.
Yeah, so that was a small show in Summerside.
Summerside. Okay. That
Oh,
makes
okay.
sense.
All right.
Yeah,
I see. I
in
know why
summer.
you were confused.
SummerCon in
Yeah.
February. Just
Yeah.
say
Yeah,
it.
he named it, I think, like 3 weeks before the show. He had called it something else. He was calling it something else. Anyways, we didn't expect a whole lot out of it, but we went to Summerside for this show. I went over and met up with Sandy there, and hung out with him, stayed the night, and came back home the next day. And yeah, it's a very small show, even compared to Back Issues, but it was a very busy show. Summerside seemed to really, really embrace it. There were no guests aside from Sandy,
Right.
and I guess arguably, possibly me, but Sandy was there. And it was busy. It was great.
Yeah.
We had a good time. It was, yeah, I was surprised. It was their first show as well. And at that point, I was like, if this guy can pull this off in 4 to 5 weeks, we have 4 months. We can do this easily. We have most of it set in place, anyways. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So I was at SummerCon with Sandy, and then we were talking to Ed and Jed, and they were going to come, and I'm like, Sandy won't come. He's in Charlottetown, but I'm going to mention it to him. Heck yeah, I'd like to come.
This is turning into something maybe you've lost control of. Yeah, no guests, but now we've got a half a dozen guests. But what a bonus! What a bonus, though, for folks that are, the expectation is we're just going to a back issue show,
Mhm.
and lo and behold, you're going to show up and you're going to get some pretty awesome guests.
Yeah, for $3. Like
Right? Yeah, that's amazing.
it's amazing. We also, and this is probably not the best marketing decision, but I was kind of adamant about not mentioning that we had guests until very, very late close to the show.
Right.
So you'll have only seen the first mention of actual guests this past week.
Mm-hmm.
We've not brought it up before because again, things come up. Jed could have been called into a
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Marvel retreat to write. Ed could have to travel for a show or to promote a book. Sandy might decide that he's working on something and just can't afford the time. In fact, he and I and Andrew are working on an anthology book that will be coming out in the fall called Dark Coast. It's a
Oh, nice.
horror
Yeah.
anthology.
Yes. Andy
Yes.
told us about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be coming out in the fall. We've been working on that together, and like I said, he may decide that he's got too much drawing to do. I don't know, but he's got my story to put art to. Andrew's working on another one, and yeah, there's several different stories in that book. It's going to be a great book.
Are you working on any other books other than Dark Coast? Do you have anything coming out or in the works this year?
No, no. Honestly, I did a bunch of work with Chapter House. Like I was with Chapter House since 2014,
Yeah.
and I haven't been doing a lot. When I stepped away from being, I guess, managing editor, when I stepped away from that back in like 2019, I basically just said I just want to edit. So
Yeah.
I picked my projects. I didn't do a lot.
Mhm.
I think I finished up a couple of Canuck collections, and then worked on worked on 3 volumes of Home, which is a sci-fi series by the Michaud brothers. It is incredible. If you can find a copy, um, it is a terrific book. It won did it win it or was it nominated? It was at least nominated for Betelgeuse Award, which is a sci-fi award.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's a great book told from 2 different perspectives and 2 different times by each brother.
Right.
And yeah, it's great. There's 3 volumes of it, and it's a great read. I really enjoyed working on it, and they are gifted, very gifted gentlemen.
So you have this event coming up on April 20th.
Hmm.
Do you have a con schedule yourself coming up? Like, will we see you down the road anywhere?
I haven't really committed to any. I've talked to a couple. I don't see. This is my last year with my oldest daughter before she goes off to university.
Okay.
Same. Look. I got a graduate in the making here. I hear you.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I have very few things to promote. So, it's kind of the perfect opportunity to not do any conventions except to just show up and maybe go to them. When
Yeah.
you go to a convention, you're kind of committed to being on site and
Right.
there for anywhere between 2 to 3 days for most of them. And some of them can be a little bit of a drag, like just a little, like I mean, just in the means that you're there for 8 hours, and
It's a lot of time. It's definitely a
lot of
lot of
time.
time. You bet. Yeah.
Yeah, so they take up quite a bit of time, and you're engaging with people. It takes a lot of time, and you can't really go do anything else. And I really love being at shows. I love interacting with people. I still get so many people coming up about Canuck and Northgard and
That was
Die Kitty Die.
formative for me. So my very first con ever was HalCon 2014, and that was the Captain Canuck year. That
Yeah.
was it. When like AJ was there doing a promotion for it as well, and
Mhm.
we had that really cool comics alley down that Cal had organized, and that was with our previous show WMD Radio, and it was the first time we were moderating panels for the very first time too, and I was so green in doing all of this
Yeah.
stuff. But it was really what was like, this is awesome. Like we do our other kinds of interviews with the TV and movie folks if we can get them. But really what kind of like dug into my brain was that entire experience of I loved the Captain Canuck crew
Yeah.
and that whole promotion. And it really kind of changed what I was kind of interested in doing and led to sort of how we became more of a con focused show
Oh,
ourselves. We kill time between cons doing all kinds of episodes about TV and movies and stuff, but really our bread and butter now has become, because of all of these experiences we've had over the last like I don't know, like 10 years now,
Yep.
together and going to these shows. But for me, that's where sort of the spark was lit, was that initiative. And so it was really, I was just getting to see kind of some larger than life, but in person, and seeing it happen in real time with all of that promotion. It was super cool. So, thank you for that, you and your team. Like that was super fun.
We have that in common because that would have been my very first convention with
Really?
the Captain
Wow.
Canuck crew. Yeah.
Huh.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And
I
I remember the True Patriot stuff you did as well, because I absolutely loved what you guys created there and how
yeah.
you brought all of these people together to create this incredible amount of stories on those things. And I've always kept my, I mean, is there more? Is there any chance there'd be more something like that coming down the road for you?
Well, I mean, the initial two books were basically Jay Torres and a bunch. He wanted to do it. He organized it with a bunch of other people. Then we went to the True Patriot Presents, where he and I worked on the very first issue, and then he passed it off to me, and I just took it over for the next. Well, we had 13 issues of that, and I would have loved to have done 1,300, but it wasn't in the cards. It just
Right.
wouldn't. We couldn't keep it going as long as we wanted to, and. Yeah, I kind of regret that. I kind of wish we could do more. I've talked to Jay about it multiple times. Cal has asked us about it multiple times, and I think there's a potential to do more there, but we
Nice.
haven't we haven't actually started formulating
It's
anything
trying to
to.
find the time as well, right?
There's time, there's stories. You have to
Yeah.
organize a lot of people
Mhm.
in order to get those stories, and those stories, once you do organize them and figure out what they're going to what you're going to put into these issues or these books, you know it's basically a volunteer effort.
Hmm.
Like
Oh, yeah.
everybody's doing it out of the love for the stories, the love for the book, and the love for the genre.
Yeah.
So it's taking time away from paying projects in order to do that. So you can't say, well, here's what you're gonna do. I need this in 3 months. Here's what you're gonna do. Thank you for doing it. Could I have it in 3 to 6 months?
Right.
And you might.
Yeah.
Most of them would rather work on that than anything else because it's a passion project.
Yeah,
And who doesn't love a passion project?
of course.
And it's something I want to follow up on that because well, what was it? 2020, November 2022, we saw you at Big Country Comic Expo in Fredericton, which was the very first one that was put together for that.
Mhm.
And it was so nice. And we've said this countless times. It's so nice to finally see everybody face to face, right? Because we're coming out of the
Oh, yeah.
pandemic and there's just a desire to go to these events and be able to see and what a blast we had for that very first event there. And and we have seen you at East Coast Comic Expo, at HalCon, and in Fredericton now. Like it's I don't know if you can explain it or whatever, but there's seems to be like a boom right now happening in Atlantic Canada with in terms of artists and creators and writers just coming all over and so much talent.
Yeah, I like, and so there's this other part of it. There's a bunch of cons that kind of were flying under the radar that are now because it seems like there's a lot more like visibly local stuff that's happening, at least the way we're seeing it. So we're hearing about all these things that I like SummerCon, for example. MiraCon, I wasn't really all that familiar with until last year. CaperCon, I'm from Cape Breton. I had no idea it even existed, but
Mm.
we've been talking to so many people about how awesome a time they've had at CaperCon. Do you find
And now yours.
is there
Yeah.
yeah, is there has do you feel it like as somebody who's been involved in this longer than us is there a boom happening now, or is it just a greater awareness of what's going on around us?
No, 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 no. There's definitely more, but also there's some that replace others. So if you look at
Yeah.
St. John, they had Fundy Fan Fest, and
Yeah, I
I
remember
think they
Fundy.
still have their Fog City
Fog
Yeah.
City, yeah.
Comic-Con,
And they
right?
had
But that
Harbor Con years
Yeah.
ago too. I remember
Yeah,
going to
so
Harbor Con, yeah.
so of those, I think only Fog City exists now, and that's because of the library, I
Yes.
Yeah.
believe.
Yep.
Yep.
But yeah, you didn't have Yarmouth Convention up until what, 2018, 2019. You didn't have CaperCon until I believe that was 2017. I might be wrong. I apologize, CaperCon, if I am. But right around then, it's 2016, 2017, I believe. There was another convention that had been planned around 2019 here at the Mount St. Vincent University. I forget what they were going to call it, but that one didn't actually happen. You've got Geekwinox, you've got
Yeah.
ECCE, as you said, you've got Miracon, which again, before it was Miracon, was I think ChaiCon,
Yeah.
Yes,
ShyCon, yeah.
that's right. Okay, I
and
did hear that
before
one.
that, it was another show in Moncton. I was at that for 2 years in a row. Same organizer, and like Moncton had two shows at one point. Uh, yeah, so I mean, you've got all these shows, and yeah, some disappear, but they're replaced in other places by other ones. So let's say, I forget what she called it in Moncton, and I apologize, Lily. But when she moved to Miramichi, she you know brought the show there.
Right, right.
It was replaced by another one. They Moncton lost it, Miramichi gained one.
Yeah.
St. John lost one, Fredericton gained one. So I don't think we're losing any. We're definitely I would say we're definitely gaining them.
Right.
They're definitely popular. Yeah, I enjoy them. I love going to them. I love talking to people who love comics, and I think that's what draws people to it.
And that's
They
the thing.
love
We
to
like
talk.
going to these things
Yeah.
and seeing you guys and just chatting with you, because it's we talk to you doing this or on the radio and whatnot, but actually to physically be there
In person,
and be
yeah.
talking to
Yeah.
you or Sandy or Andrew Clark. I mean, it's a greater appreciation since everything we've gone through since the pandemic.
And I think that might be part of it too, is just we had to all kind of hide our heads for a little while and do this. But I mean, now this has also evolved for us. Like we we kind of had to change the way we did things for a year, and then we created all of a sudden something else that we do. Kind of, and now we're trying to find a way where we're meeting all these great people again in person, and then it's like, hey, why don't we do this now? Like we can we can. So for us it's been it was a little bit of a silver lining, I guess,
Yeah.
that the pandemic happened, because we missed it so much, and then we start reconnecting with people face to face, and then it just gets very exciting to continue the conversations that we've had at the show, because we're doing the run and gun style, run to the tables, and
You
not
got
enough
30 seconds of your
yeah,
time there.
not enough time to sit down and have a conversation like this. So we've gained a much greater appreciation out of not having for a little while, and then now it just seems like there's just a ridiculous amount of creators and folks and content experts to get our hands on to talk to. So it's in that respect, it's been really good. So and here we are.
Yeah.
I think the pandemic led people to really look at these projects that they want to do themselves.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes.
probably where you're seeing some of this come from. I mean, they
Good
may have
point.
been doing work before that, but you're sitting home alone. I mean, comics essentially shut down for a few months,
Yeah.
like altogether just shut down. They weren't, like I know people whose series they just didn't continue after the pandemic hit. They lost the series because they lost momentum,
Yeah.
and because of that, not because of the writing or the art or any of
Sure.
that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
just the lack of being out there.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of passion projects out there that are being produced either themselves, indie projects, or they're going through an indie publisher. And yeah, you just see, I mean, you can pretty much go around the provinces like Maritimes and find, I'm going to say, a good dozen people that are currently working in comics in some fashion. And I don't know if that's unusual for a population of approximately 1.5 million people, but it seems like a lot of people to me. There are a lot of
Yeah.
people who work on their own indie projects you don't necessarily know about, or they're limited to the area that they're in for distribution to like close
Yeah.
comic shops. But I could add them up. I could
Well, you've
probably
got
get
four
well
of them
over a
coming on the
dozen.
20th.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so on the 20th, yeah, we have four of them coming.
It's
Um,
it's nice to be known for something other than our aging population too. So I'm glad you bring this up as a fact that we do have an enormous talent pool, despite the
Yeah.
fact that we're all heading towards being senior citizens here. But
yeah, yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm really glad that we're putting it on, and I'm really glad that it actually sort of evolved from a comic buy and sell to us being able to have guests to
yeah,
bring out. I mean, it feels like it feels a little bit like you're using them, but they want to be there,
they
Yeah.
want to be
and
there. Yeah,
and we're not making money off of this. It was never intended to be a money-making venture. We're doing it because we love comics. We're doing it because we want
Absolutely.
people to be able to gather and have like a large quantity of uh comic boxes to bin dive. That's all we were really thinking. Like I want people to walk out of there with back issues, literally.
yeah.
I want them to leave with comics, and I want them to have had such a good time that their neck and their back hurts from bin diving.
That sounds like a good experience for sure.
Yeah.
It's quite something though when you like to be able to do this in the 4 months and then look ahead and go, okay, we're gonna try and do this again in September around the third week, potentially the same venue.
Maybe a second floor.
Cryptic as that was, but
I
I
was
think
listening. I get
that's fun. I think
Oddly
that's
specific.
Yes.
right. Exactly. But I think, from what it sounds like, you've sold all your tables. You've got these artists coming that you hadn't planned on it. Word of mouth is the best way of getting that word out there, with even with social media, that people are going to go, wow, I missed this. And you're having one potentially in September. I want to go to this one now.
Yeah, I mean, we're incredibly fortunate to have such great friends. Like, I don't think if we didn't have friendships with these people would not have asked to come.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have happened. There wouldn't be guests at this show. And chances are, and Chris and Kent are the two other gentlemen who are organizing this event. And they have a lot of friends and connections in, like, comics, like people buying and selling comics. They know where all the good collections are. They know the guys who are buying. They know the guys who are selling. They know, pretty much everybody, at least in the Halifax area. They know all those guys, so it was easy for them to reach out and say, "Hey, we're doing this thing. Would you like a
Right.
table?" "No, I'll take 3 tables." If it wasn't for them, I don't think we would have sold at those tables nearly as quick.
But
So
I think you hit on is like just it's a community, and we talk about, like, we have connections just with you that go back 10 years, right? It's because of the our first Halcon where we met.
yeah,
And you keep those connections. I always, because music is something I know a little bit better than comics, and I always liken it to like music scenes. And it is really, it's like, oh, I got friends, and it really kind of builds up. And if you can keep that community, you keep those connections together, there you find ways you're supporting one another all
Mm-hmm.
the time. So I think it really, it's a testament to networking in some senses, but also maintaining those supportive lines of communication. I feel like this particular community in Eastern Canada, when it comes to these creators, tends to really like to celebrate the successes of each other, and I think that's kind of how this gets on every year. And
Yeah.
and like you said, like sometimes conventions come and go, but we're really dealing with the same people
yeah,
after all these years, and it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, we're dealing with the same people. It's like, yeah, we're dealing with the same people, and those people are bringing in more people, and you meet a new face kind of every cycle. So,
yeah.
again, I think you've got you do have a tremendous group of friends, but it's also, you've got it's part of that community that you've been active in, and again,
Mhm.
you're all supporting one another, and I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't even, like, I can't even imagine doing something like this without, like, Chris and Kent. I can't imagine doing something like this without Ed and Jed and Sandy and Andrew. Like, or the support of the East Coast Comics crew, who,
Yeah,
they jumped in and said, "Yeah, we'd love to come down and have a table to, promote our show," which is quite literally probably 5 times the size of Back Issues, and they're willing to come down from Moncton to support us by, being at a table and promoting ECCE.
Mhm.
sure.
And the same thing with Cal and Strange Adventures coming in to promote
Yeah,
decaf.
Yeah.
He agreed to have a table to promote decaf, and do these places actually need our helps? Doing the promotion? No, but they're there to show some support, and
Yeah.
of
we
course.
hope to do the same for them. Like, I think across the board, it's all about supporting each other in both comics and in comic conventions, like comic shows. You want people to know about all of them, and
Yeah.
you want people to enjoy them, because the more people that know about these shows, maybe they can't make it to ECCE, but they can make it to Back Issues and Decaf. Maybe they can't make it to Back Issues and Decaf, but they're going to go to ECCE because they've moved closer to that one.
Mhm.
Something along that lines.
Yep.
I mean, then you have just so many other shows. I mean, I even forgot about AEX, or the
Yeah.
formerly known as
It would
That's
just
IEX.
going
happen.
on
It's
this
it's
weekend
this
right now.
weekend here, and
Yep.
we're not there. But like, some of them do, they creep up on you, and then you can't go to all of them.
Yeah.
I think it's a little shameful that we have one going on in our own backyard. But again, like,
But
this
we've
is,
got we literally have three in Fredericton
yeah,
in the span of
yeah,
6 months, essentially. There's Anna Maritime, which happens right at the end
Right.
of June, and then Freddie Beach, which will be the August long weekend this year.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
I not to throw my kids under the bus, but that's the primarily why I'm not. But
Yeah.
I'm curious, Tony. I want to ask you something here because it's fun talking to you. You're a writer, and we've talked to writers and artists and stuff. Do you have a bucket list of anybody out there that you haven't had a chance, but you'd love to get a crack at writing a story on?
Oh God. I mean, nobody would hire me to do it, but would I? Yes. There's a ton of them. Like I mean, I'm gonna go not obscure, but definitely not mean. I would love to do a Superman story, but I think my Superman story would probably be very derivative of other Superman stories. You know, whatever I could do to change it up. But you know, like my mind goes to a certain sort of story or that you tell with Superman. But I think like I would love to do a Booster Gold. I would
Oh
love to
wow.
write a Booster
Yeah,
Gold. I think that would be amazing.
nice.
Yeah, I've got a I really do enjoy Booster Gold. I'm a very big fan of Peter Parker and maybe a Spider-Man story. I've unfortunately picked up quite a few mannerisms from him, so I do tend to quip on occasion and maybe in at the wrong time, which is which is I do have a day job, and sometimes it does slip out there, my Chandlerisms, so to speak. Um, so yeah, I think I could push through. I think I could push through a Spider-Man book. I don't think, given my skill level and my limited my limited experience in writing, and to be quite honest, I don't think I could do a series yet. I don't think I would be at that level, but could I do a backup story? Could I do a one shot?
One
Yeah,
shot, yeah,
absolutely. I could
yeah.
kill a one shot or a backup story. I would love to have the opportunity to do that. But yeah, it would definitely be something like that. Or I do like team stories. They're a little harder to coordinate in your mind, but that challenge is what really I think you know brings it all together. You you
Hmm.
you you get your juices flowing. It gives you something
Right.
decent when you have that challenge. Not that a single character in an issue is easy, but yeah, I think that would be. I would love to also, I would love to do a Captain Canuck story again. Like I did one
I'd
short.
love to
Nice.
see
Yeah.
one. I would love to see one. Yeah.
I think I have, I've got the beginnings. I've got a notebook, beginnings of multiple stories for, created characters, Canuck, yeah, just a bunch of them. I've got some Archie stories, So I think about this stuff. I put this
Yeah.
stuff together and try to come up with things.
That's not a bad thing either, because you never know, right? Like that's the thing is it something could happen along the road and boom, before we know it, and Tony White's doing a Spider-Man one shot
Yeah.
or a
Yeah,
Booster Gold
What,
one
do-
shot,
what
right?
about
So
like
yeah.
a what if? You had mentioned you're finishing off your what if collection or one of them.
yeah.
Do the Elseworlds give you a little bit more freedom to be a little bit more kind of off the kind of the scripted stuff and to be able to kind of develop your own kind of ideas and or would something like that could you go too far on a what if? I have all kinds of what if ideas, but then I could really stray away from the spirit of the book.
Same. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that I don't want to say it would be easier to do something like that, but you wouldn't have the same restrictions you would have
That's
on
the
the
hard, but
character
yeah,
because
yeah,
these established characters all have restrictions. You can't do this. You must do that. But when you do a what if, I think those restrictions kind of fall away to a point. They fall away, and you have a little bit more liberty with those. I wouldn't know. I've never done, but it certainly reads that way.
Hmm.
yeah. Is there, you mentioned like the restrictions. I'd be curious to know, I assume that, publishers have, like, are these documented somewhere? Like, I know you can get like these big omnibus, like this, has somebody done a Bible of you can't and can't do with writing for specific heroes?
I mean, I can only go on hearsay, but yeah, there's a list. There's not necessarily a Bible or a book, but there's usually a list that comes along with a character. And again, this is secondhand
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
aside from what I know about Captain Canuck and North Garden. Like those particular characters, yes, there is a list. It's sort of told to you. But with the established characters, I mean, you're talking 80 plus years of history in some cases. So yeah, you can't do this, you must do that.
Right.
That's there. You have to. They're protecting their brand. They're protecting
Right.
their investment.
Yeah.
So those things exist. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't
Um,
imagine. Yeah. yeah, that they wouldn't.
So the Back Issues event, as we say, this the 20th of April. You are one of the organizers. Are you bringing a couple of boxes of Back Issues as well with you? I happen to notice right behind you there you have a comic box that's got the Ramita Jr.
Oh yeah.
Stuff on it right there. Is that one that's getting ready to go in the trunk of the car off to back to your event?
No, I think that one contains my what ifs, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Just got those,
Uh,
yeah.
you know,
No.
I've got, you can't see it, but I've got an Iron Man one right underneath of it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Right on.
yeah, and to the right of those is that's Adam Gorham did that Silver
Oh,
Surfer. I don't know if you can see
nice.
We
that
met
very
Adam
well.
Gorham at
Last year.
ECCE
Yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam's a great guy. He repeated that at Montreal for me, 2019. He was at the show, and I was just sort of visiting and hanging out with people, and he drew that, and I tried to buy it, and Adam being such a great guy, he's like, "No, you can have it." I'm like, "No, I got to pay for it." He
Nice.
goes, "Nope, no, you don't."
A great guy.
So,
And he was doing Darth Vader when we were
He's
talking
back.
to him.
He's
I'm like,
back
man,
on the Vader series
he's
right
doing that
now, and he was
mask.
he
Yeah,
was really excited about that.
that's
So
crazy. Yeah.
Adam's such a talented individual. I mean, he's done a lot of work with Ed too, and I mean, he did work on, I think, Exo Man of War. I mean, he's just such a great guy. He really is a great guy. Like you could throw out a name, and I could probably say every single time they're great guys. Like
Yeah, right.
most people in comic books in Canada, anyways, are are great guys and gals, and like I've never met somebody that I've not enjoyed spending time with at any of these shows or making comics. Not once. Just some fantastic people we have in Canada.
Yeah.
So we should ask them because we do talk to other people like Brent O'Hara from East Coast Comic Expo and so forth. This week leading up to the event, is this where you start to lose? You start to sleep a lot less?
Um,
Yeah.
I
Any
don't think
nerves?
so.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't believe I have nerves in this respect. It's either going to work or it's not. And I'm gonna push it and I'm gonna promote it. I'm taking care, like we're all hands on. Like I'm taking care of all of our social media. So I'm doing all of the social media just like Brent does for ECCE. And we will be going in there on Friday and setting up tables ourselves. We're gonna be there to unlock the doors at 7 o'clock in the morning the next day and let people set up. And we're gonna be there at the end of the day breaking down tables and putting them away. It's gonna be a hands-on experience for us. It's gonna be a long day, and I think I. You know, I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to go well.
I think it's going to be
Usually,
fun.
usually with these things, when you have your event and you have your page, from my understanding, not being a professional at this, is a lot of people will go, but they will not tell you they're going. They won't say I'm interested.
Right.
They won't say I'm
Oh, right.
going,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So if you have 90 people going or 90 people interested and 60 people going, chances are you're probably going to have four times that go through the door because they're
Yeah.
just not going to tell you or they haven't seen it. They've been told by somebody else.
Right.
So if I look at the numbers, that would worry me. Like if I was only looking at those numbers, I can't even tell you. I haven't looked at it today to see how many people are saying that they're interested or coming. But I'm assuming somewhere is probably in that 40 to 60 range and that 70 to 90 range.
Sure.
And if I looked at that, then I'd be concerned if I only took that as who was going to come. But I'm pretty sure that we'll see at least triple that number, at
Yeah.
least.
I have the same philosophy about our follower count on social media. I try not to define things by the number of followers we have, but by the reach. That's like the word of mouth gets out there, and it's not always going to be directly somebody responding to you. It's going to be people responding to kind of the extension of that sort of information being shared out there. So I'm sure it's going to be a successful event, and you'll definitely get lots of traffic there.
Yeah, majority of people they just don't, they won't follow, they won't like, they won't, but
No.
they're listening, they're
Yeah.
there, they're
Yeah.
going,
Yeah.
they're,
Yep.
they just don't see the benefit to people knowing they're doing that.
Right. Well, sometimes algorithms aren't so great for the folks that are supposed to be benefiting from them either, because it's going to show up anyway, and you're just going to scroll past it. Oh, I saw that. Yeah, that's great, without having to commit to like going in and kind of registering your approval or whatever. So I try and look at it that way
And I
anyway.
mean, let's face it, you're going to get people who will go, I didn't know about it. Oh, now I want to go to the next one,
Yeah.
or I'm really not sure. And then they hear how much they missed out on this, and they're like, okay, I'm going to the next one for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much at this show that I can confirm. Like there's something for everybody. If you like comics of any sort, there are going to be comic magazines, there are going to be comic books, there are going to be trades, there's going to be graphic novels, there's going to be digests like DC digests and Archie digests. There's going to be Archie comics. There's going to be Golden Age comics. There's quite a few of them actually. Golden Age comics. I've got several in my collection that will be at the show, and I know several others who have a fair number of Golden Age issues that will be at that show. There's going to be some big books at that show. There's going to be, modern comics there. There's going to be manga. I can't think of something that wouldn't be represented. So I think that it will have, I don't even want to say a little of something for everybody. It's going to have a lot of something for everybody.
That's great.
I like that. That's a nice tagline right there at the bottom.
A lot of something for everybody.
A lot of something for everybody. We're gonna have it's going to cross all of the various types of comics and what's represented by comics. Like I said, manga is probably the one thing that I know we'll have, but I don't know how much of. But everything else I know for sure will have a fair number of things for people to look through and decide whether they want to purchase or not. Plus, some of our vendors will be doing trades. So if they want to bring books and trade books,
that's cool.
Oh, nice.
Some of our vendors will be open to buying collections, myself included. But yeah, I mean, there's people that will come through the doors and talk to people, and I'm sure that they'll do deals after the fact. Like this is just natural. I know one guy who's one of our vendors coming up from Greenwood, I guess. He's from Yarmouth, but I think he's living in Greenwood now. He's already got 5 sales.
He hasn't even shown up. Good for him.
It hasn't even happened yet. He's got 5 sales. He's like, as soon as I get to the show, I just have to go back home and get this stuff. And they're coming to the show on Saturday to pick it up. And
wow,
so,
that's exciting.
So will people show up like with a short box, do you think, of something they're going to want to sell? Like, is that encouraged as well?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, whenever I go to shows with my own stuff, like my own work and the work that I've helped produce and put into the world. But for these things, I go with my own comic book collections, my own comics that I'm selling. So on the sides of my boxes, like I was at a convention yesterday, not really a convention. It's it's called Collector Con. It's in Lower Sackville, Nova Scotia, and it's been going on for maybe 2 years now. I've been to probably 7 of the shows. And anyways, every time I go to a show, including SummerCon, I have on the side of my boxes, like I'll look at your collection. I had no problem buying a collection or giving you advice. Like, so I hope people do come in and take advantage of that. I know that's pretty cool. I know that there's other people that will do the same thing, either purchase it, or if it's something that's maybe out of their price range, if it's like really, really good stuff, they'll at least provide them with some advice.
Nice.
I mean, this sounds like it's going to be great for collectors. Something that people should be looking forward to. Look, I wish you the best with it, and I'm already rooting for you for the September show as well. I hope you get the turnout that keeps this going, because it's definitely something that I would like to maybe in the fall.
It's a day trip for us, basically,
to Dartmouth for. Usually can't get it to this one, but so April 20th, Saturday, April 20th in Dartmouth, Back Issues Comicon. Tony White, look, it's been awesome talking to you. I hope we get to see you. Are you going to be? I know you may not be tabling, but will we run into you in Moncton in June?
You will actually. I'm actually working with them.
You are? Okay.
Yeah. So I'm actually handling guest relations for the show.
Nice.
As of maybe 6 weeks ago.
Fantastic.
They asked, and I was actually hesitant, but I did it. So I'm helping out in that respect, and I will actually have a booth there, but I won't be there as Tony White with comic books or graphic novels that I've put out. It'd be me with my comic collection. So I'll be there.
Nice.
I'll be there for the weekend. I'll be selling comics, and I just didn't. They asked me if I wanted to be a guest this year, and I said I really don't have anything new to promote. So can I have a booth?
Sure.
So anyways, yeah. So I'll be tabling there, but not as a guest.
Awesome. So
we'll on the engagement. That's great.
Yeah, we'll be able to get a little bit of a follow up after once we see you in Moncton. So
yeah, how did it go? I guess that's and then I'll hang my head in shame. And
Oh well,
those numbers that we saw on Facebook.
right.
Yeah, we
That
got
works.
less.
No,
than
no. The
that.
first
No.
question will be: did you get the last three? That's the first question.
Yeah, we'll want to know.
Did you complete your collection?
That's what we're most interested in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
the
hope I
personal
will.
victories. Yeah.
I don't know what I'll do once I finish it. So if I have those three, then I constantly have something to strive for. If I fill
Sure.
that collection, then I'm like, what do I do with these border
Oh,
covers?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I hope it has a positive, effect. It's not like a, oh no, I'm done.
Yeah,
This sucks. We've reached the
yeah,
pinnacle, and that's all we got. Oh
yeah.
man.
Maybe
Well,
I'll finish it up in ECCE. I don't know. Those guys are great, and I know
yeah,
it'll be a great show too. And
Yeah.
yeah,
from seeing a few things on the inside for the, this is all new to me,
sure.
helping them out. But seeing for things go together on the inside, it's going to be a good show.
Well,
Yeah.
and we've seen like
They've got a really strong lineup so
the
far.
lineup that we've seen to date. We've seen that it looks super impressive. So we're looking
Yeah.
forward to hearing more
Yeah,
announcements as they
I
come
don't
out.
I don't believe Ramon's been to Moncton. He may not have even been to the East Coast at all at this point. I'm not sure if he went to
Yeah,
Halcon or not,
yeah.
but I don't think he did.
That was a
That's a big
pleasant
one. Yeah.
surprise to see
Yeah.
that one come up in the feed. So looking forward to see who else they got. They generally roll them out, and we'll be talking to Brent sometime in
Couple weeks,
the
so.
nearest future. So we
Yeah.
usually try and coax something out of him a little bit early. So we'll hopefully he'll have something on deck to share with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a big list there, so he'll have plenty to tease you with.
Right on, right on. Well, listen, Tony, this has been a really good chat. Looking forward to hearing how everything goes. Best of luck on the 20th in
Yeah.
Dartmouth with Back Issues Comicon. All the
Thank you.
info, all the links below. Folks, check it out, and click the going if you happen to engage on social media, just to pump up those
Yeah.
those number
It,
expectations if you can.
it's right downtown Dartmouth. It is literally 5 minutes from the ferry. There's buses going up and down Ochterlony, which is the closest street to it. It's on Dundas, almost on to the corner of Dundas and Ochterlony, if you know the area. But
Right
it's
on.
it's literally like it's a 2-minute walk from Portland Street, so it's really not far from anything in downtown Dartmouth. So it's a very convenient location if you drive or if you don't.
Sounds great. Well,
Well,
look, we'll
good
be
luck to this,
yeah.
man. We're rooting for you guys. It
And
sounds like an awesome time.
we'll be watching. We'll be keeping an eye on the social media channels, and we'll keep putting stuff out. We'll share whatever you got coming out there as well.
Thank
And
you. Appreciate it.
again, all the best with your event, and as well as with your partners. A quick shout out to Chris. Oh, when I reach this, I got my Got Your Six issue one, which
Oh, yeah.
he
Yeah.
did the lettering on. I thought
You
that was
did, yeah.
quite impressive. So good for him, and maybe we'll get a chance to connect with him in the near future as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's done lettering on Adam as well for Andrew
Nice.
Cool.
Clark, and actually he got Ed Brisson used to
Yeah.
letter as well.
Yeah.
He got some tips, a little bit of a training session with Ed there recently as well. So
Oh, nice.
his skills are improving greatly. So Chris will be a terrific. He's a good letterer right now, but the more he does, the better he gets. I'm
Exactly.
impressed with everything. Every time I see it, it's improved.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I get to look at a lot of books that he's doing either for Sandy or for Andrew as editor. So yeah, I think he's doing a great job, and I'm sad that he couldn't make it today. But if you get a chance to talk to him in the future, for sure you should.
Absolutely.
He's a
Definitely.
very nice guy.
Awesome. Look, man, take care.
Yeah.
All the best. Rest up. I know you don't have the nerves yet, but you never know what happens Friday night. So
Yeah, it's possible.
protect your back. Also, long boxes are probably the least comfortable thing to lift and move. So do some stretches, whatever you need to do. Keep yourself in good shape, and looking forward to seeing you at ECC in
Yeah.
June.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thanking. Yeah,
Right.
I'm looking
Thanks,
forward
Tony.
to it.
All the
Thanks,
best.
guys.